A Treatise of Satan's Temptations. By Richard Gilpin. A Discourse of the Malice, Power, Cruelty and Diligence of Satan. First part of Chapter 16. Of Satan's third grand policy for maintaining his possession, which is his feigned departure, 1. By ceasing the prosecution of his design, and the cases in which he doth it. 2. By abating the eagerness of pursuit, and how he doth that. 3. By exchanging temptations, and his policy therein. The advantage he seeks by seeming to fly. Of his fourth stratagem for keeping his possession, which is his stopping all ways of retreat, and how he doth that. Besides the two former designs, of finishing sin, and keeping all in quiet, by which the devil endeavors to maintain his possession, he hath a third grand subtlety, which is this. He keeps his hold, by feigning himself dispossessed and cast out. Of this we have a full account, Luke 11:24, when the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest. And finding none, he saith, I will return unto my house whence I came out. Christ had there noted that, it is Satan's great principle to do nothing by which his kingdom may be divided, or undermined. Satan will not be divided against himself, and yet very seasonably he tells us, that for an advantage, he will seem to quit his interest. And upon design he will sometimes so carry himself that he may be deemed and supposed to be gone out of a man. As those that besiege forts, or walled towns, do sometimes raise the siege and feign a departure, intending thereby to take a sudden advantage of the carelessness of the besieged. In the explanation of this policy, I shall, 1. Show how many ways he feigns a departure. 2. Upon what designs he doth it. There are 3 ways whereby Satan seems to forsake his interest. 1. First, he frequently ceaseth the prosecution of a design, which yet he hath in his eye and desire, when he perceives that there are some things in his way that render it not feasible. Nay, he forbears to urge men to their darling sins, upon the same score. And who would not think Satan cast out in such a case? When a man spits out the sweet morsel which heretofore he kept under his tongue, and sucked a sweetness from it. When men of noted iniquities abstain from them, and become smooth and civil, who would not think, but that the unclean spirit were gone? This way and course he puts in practice in several cases. 1. First, when he perceives some extraordinary occasion, puts any of his subjects into a good mood or humor of religion. Wicked men are not ordinarily so highly bent upon evil ways, but that they may be, at some time softened and relaxed. Pharaoh, who is most eminently noted for a heart judicially hardened, at the appearance of the plagues upon himself and Egypt, usually relented somewhat, and would confess he had sinned, and that fit would continue upon him, for some little time. But very frequently, it is thus with others. An extraordinary occasion melts and thaws down the natural affections of men, as a warm day melts the snow upon the mountains. And then the stream will, for a time run high and strong, at which time, Satan sees it is in vain to urge them. Thus, men that receive an eminent kindness and deliverance from God, what is more common than for such men to say, Oh, we will never be so wicked as we have been, we will never be drunk more, the world shall see us reformed and new men. These are indeed good words, and yet though Satan knows, that such expressions are not from a good heart, as that of Deuteronomy 5:29 implies. They have well said, Oh that there were such an heart in them. He nevertheless thinks it not fit then to press them to their usual wickedness at that time. For natural affections raised high in a profession of religion, will withstand temptations for a fit, and therefore he forbears, till the stream run lower. What a fit of affection had the Israelites, when their eyes had seen that miraculous deliverance at the Red Sea! What songs of rejoicing had they! What resolves never to distrust him again! Psalm 106:12, Then believed they his words, they sang his praise. Satan doth not presently urge them to murmuring and unbelief, though that was his design, but he stays till the fit was over. And then he could soon tempt them to forget his works. How like a convert did Saul look, after David had convinced him of his integrity, and had spared his life in the cave. 1 Samuel 24:16, and 26:21. He weeps, and acknowledgeth his iniquity, justifies David, owns his kindness, and seems to acquiesce in his succession to the kingdom. The devil had, no question, a great spite at David, and it was his great design, to stir up Saul against him, and yet at that time he could not prevail with him to destroy David. Though he might easily have done it. He was then in a good mood, and Satan was forced to give way to necessity, and to seem to go out of Saul for the present. 2. Secondly, he also ceaseth from his design, when he sees he cannot fit his temptation with a suitable opportunity. What could be more the devil's design, and Esau's satisfaction, than to have had Jacob slain? Esau prophesieth it was the design of his heart, and yet he resolves to forbear, so long as his father Isaac lived. Genesis 27:41, the days of my father's mourning are at hand. Then, but not till then, will I slay my brother Jacob. The devil often sows his seed, and yet waiteth and hath long patience, not only in watering and fitting the hearts of men for it, but also in expectancy of fit opportunities. And in the meantime, he forbears to put men, upon that which time and occasion cannot fitly bring forth to practice. The prophet, Hosea 7:4, speaks of that people as notoriously wicked, they are all adulterers. But withal, he observes that they forbear these enormous abominations, for want of fit seasons, their heart was as an oven heated by the baker. Sufficiently inflamed after their wickedness, and yet the baker, after he had kneaded the dough, prepared all the groundwork of the temptation, ceased from raising. Sleeping all the night till all was leavened. That is, though their hearts were enraged for sin, yet the devil doth wait, till occasions present themselves, and becomes in the meantime, like one asleep. Now, while the devil thus sleeps, the fire that is secretly in the heart, being not seen, men gain a good opinion of converts with others, and often with themselves, not knowing what spirit they are of, because Satan ceaseth, upon the want of occasions, to tempt and provoke them. 3. Thirdly, our adversary is content to forbear, when he perceives that a restraining grace doth lock up the hearts and hands of men. When a stronger than he cometh, who can expect less but that he should be more quiet? That God doth restrain men sometime when he doth not change them, needs no proof. That Satan knows of these restraints, cannot be denied. Who can give an account of these communings and discourses that are betwixt God and Satan concerning us? His pleadings in reference to Job were as unknown to Job, till God discovered them, as his pleadings concerning ourselves are to us. Besides, who can tell how much of God's restraining grace may lie in this, of God's limiting and straightening Satan's commission? Now the devil hath not so badly improved his observations, but that he knows it is in vain to tempt where God doth stop his way and tie up men's hands. Abimelech was certainly resolved upon wickedness, when he took Sarah from Abraham, Genesis 20:2, and yet the matter is so carried for some time, how long we know not, as if the devil had been asleep, or forgot to hasten Abimelech, to his intended wickedness. For when God cautions him, he had not come near her, verse 4. The ground of all this was neither in the devil's backwardness nor Abimelech's modesty, but Satan lets the matter rest, because he knew that God withheld him, and suffered him not to touch her. Thanks.